Hey everyone, Justin Crumley here with the Cujo Productions channel. Welcome to another edition of The Film Cave. Today we're going to be talking about a movie that's been out for almost a couple of weeks now, but hey, we're here for it anyway. It's 28 years later. This was directed by Danny Boyle, and it stars Alfie Williams, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes. This is the third installment in the 28 Days franchise, and as the title states, it takes place 28 years after the rage virus breaks out initially. So, I'll kind of shoot from the hip for a second here and say this was honestly one of my most anticipated movies for this year. When the trailer first dropped, I was in. I'm sure a lot of people were. I don't think I'm. I don't think I'm the only one that was like sucked in with that trailer, with all the imagery of the infected running around, just the gorgeous shots, all of that to the audio of the poem Boots. And, just all in all, the trailer was absolutely astounding. Unfortunately, this might be the most disappointing movie of 2025, at least for me personally. The first 20 minutes or so, where it was Spike, Alfie Williams, and his father, Aaron, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, the first 20 minutes, I was locked in. I thought this movie was going to be everything that I had anticipated it to be. I thought, wow, this is going to be awesome. And unfortunately, after that 20 minutes, it starts to kind of. It does some weird things. There are some creative choices that are made. There are some things that come up that are just seemingly thrown in there for like stylistic purposes, kind of like style over substance, more or less. And I just found some of the choices to be odd. I didn't really think that they did much as far as aiding the story or making it any better or more compelling. It just kind of felt random or trying to be overly fancy. And I know this movie was filmed on like multiple different iPhones, which is pretty cool. Kind of gives it its own little feel. I don't want to make it seem like I absolutely like hated this movie or that I thought it was absolute crap, but largely I just found it to be disappointing. So, like I said, first 20 minutes or so, I was locked in. It was really good. I thought, okay, it's going to be a story we've seen many a times, a father and son, maybe bonding a little bit. Maybe it's a coming of life story. I thought it was going to be your typical, like, parent to child, maybe something like The Road or The Last of Us. It would have been awesome, I think. It would have been really cool. Even though it's a story that's been done a million times, it's all about the differences, the little things that the director puts in there to make it their own. And I think that would have been a more compelling story than what they did. It's about halfway through. They go back to the island where all the people that aren't infected are living. And that's where I think the film starts to slow down a little bit as far as pacing. And at that point, it just kind of turns into a whole different movie entirely. Maybe not a whole different movie, but a whole different story. So this is a bit of a spoiler, but about halfway through the movie, something happens with Spike and his dad. Spike decides to take his mother, who is sick, and they go to the mainland to seek out a doctor, played by Ralph Fiennes. Now, I'm not going to give away any of the lore around Ralph Fiennes' character. I'll just say that when his character shows up on screen, that's to me when the turn into a, I don't want to say completely different story, but it continues to rotate as far as like what kind of story it is. Because the tone does kind of shift a little bit. And that's kind of the biggest issue I have with this film is it's kind of a mixed bag as far as tones. My understanding is that there is a trilogy planned, so maybe we'll get more answers as this goes on. I don't want to be too harsh on this one. Like I said, I didn't hate it, and I thought the actors were really good. Everybody in this film did a great job. Huge shout out to Alfie Williams. I think he was the standout performance, which is saying a lot considering he's surrounded by Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes. Yeah, so I definitely hope that Alfie Williams has a long and successful career from this. Like I said, the acting really wasn't the issue with this one. Largely, it was just the writing, storytelling was just a little bit disjointed. It felt like too much, like just way too many tones, like clashing together. And then the ending comes around. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I fucking hate the ending of this movie. I really do. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and put a timestamp right here, and this is, if you don't want to be spoiled on the ending, just go to the this timestamp right here at the end. Okay. So, the end of the film, Spike's mother dies. He puts her on like a monument that Ralph Fiennes' character had put together, had built, and he writes a letter to his dad explaining that he's going to stick around in the mainlands. He also drops off a baby. Apparently, the infected can actually give birth to non-infected babies, which is actually kind of interesting. I'm curious to see where they go with that. But he basically leaves the baby with the note for Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, and he explains that he's gonna explore the mainland for a bit. He just wanted to look around. Basically, the letter was just him saying like, hey, this is just to let you know I'm okay. Don't look for me. I'll be back in due time, whatever. Something to that effect, anyway. I don't remember word for word what the letter says, but anyway. So Spike ends up getting cornered by a couple of, I think it's like a whole horde of infected. And it looks like he's about to get gnawed on. And he's about to get eaten. And to be honest, I was actually waiting for him to pull some, like, fucking Batman shit where he just, out of nowhere, sees a way to pull his way out of it. I don't know. I thought, like, wow, this is going to be interesting. Maybe he shoots an arrow at a rock and they all tumble and hit the infected. Or whatever. I don't know. But that's not what happens at all. A bunch of dudes who look like the dime store Power Rangers show up, all led by a guy that kind of resembles Jimmy Savile. I don't know if that's on purpose. Maybe there's a lot of symbolism in these 28 years movies, or the 28 days movies. So maybe they'll explore that a little bit in the upcoming movies. Yeah, basically, like I said, they're all dressed in these colorful jumpsuits, and they come out of nowhere with these, like, broomsticks, and they're doing these karate moves, and they're killing the infected. It legitimately looked like a Saturday morning cartoon. And that's why I was saying the tone shift when I was talking about the part where Ralph Fiennes' character jumps in. I didn't want to say it made a complete turn yet because that ending was where it went from like really good, engaging, horror, thriller, father-son kind of thing to survival, whatever, kind of changing tones a little bit to more funny, and then it got to this part and it became a Saturday morning cartoon. And yeah, definitely a what the fuck ending, to say the least. I have seen a lot of people say that they like this film. I got a buddy that really enjoyed it, so I can't guarantee that you'll love or hate it. I can just tell you that I personally was not a big fan of this movie. I thought it was largely disappointing. I thought, like, creatively, it was just kind of weird. It was more style over substance. I thought it was more. It just bounced around between too many tones. The great performances were, in my opinion, thrown by the wayside because ultimately I think this movie is just a mixed bag. I don't think it's terrible. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I certainly don't regret seeing it. But it definitely didn't live up to the expectations I had for it, I guess. And it's definitely a film that I think the trailer outdoes the movie. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. If you guys have seen 28 Years Later, be sure to let me know in the comment section what you thought of it. I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for now. Until next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is Cujo Productions saying, stay awesome.